But you went, oh, what else can I do if I can do this?
It's all about releasing it all.
Whoa, look at that.
That's the worst part. So
What's life like now, apart from the fact you can sleep in the chair?
It doesn't matter how much I sit there worrying.
Did you consciously know what your root cause? Okay, Megan, hi. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your experience of working with me. It's so good to see you, and it's just an amazing thing. Thank you, because other people need to know what the experience of working with me is like so that they can make an informed choice about whether they want to or not. So thank you for joining me. The first question Thank you. The first question I'd like to ask you is, what did you want my help to overcome? And when was that?
I needed help to overcome severe anxiety and depression, which have basically been part of my life, well, all through my life. I had panic attacks quite regularly, lots of negative thoughts. I was always tired. I had no motivation, no energy whatsoever. Felt completely broken, to be honest. I got to the point where I didn't really know who I was anymore. It wasn't worth getting out of bed in the morning, and self-esteem was on the floor. I had no self-esteem at all, no value, no self-worth, nothing at all. It was very difficult. I actually ended up taking time off work as well. And I'm a nursery nurse and absolutely love looking after children. It's my absolute life, something I've always wanted to do. So that was hard because I'm not that type of person to be off. But things got, they got so bad, I couldn't even get up and I couldn't even function. And I had to make the choice that, it just wasn't fair to go in and be with the children in that sort of state, really. They need people to, they need you to be happy, smiley, interacting and playing. And unfortunately I had to, sort of took quite a bit of time off, really, on and off throughout the whole thing, really. So
must have been really difficult. So what had you tried before working with me? What sort of solutions had you tried before working with me?
The first thing I tried was counselling, which everybody recommends. And like, perhaps it would help to talk to somebody. They're really good. They'll sit and listen. And it's like, okay, at the time, you do think, okay, other people have been, and what else am I going to do? I need to talk to somebody. So, this must be the right solution. So I had quite a few sessions with a counsellor. Can't count on one hand. There must have been a lot. It was basically in a tiny room, sat on the chair, with the lady opposite me just saying, well, how do you feel today then? Oh, and why do you think you feel like this? What's happened in the past? And, how did that make you feel? And I'm thinking, I'm actually feeling worse now because I'm talking about what happened in the past and how it's making me feel. And actually that's making me more anxious because it's bringing all those feelings back, about how I did feel at the time. Actually I had a panic attack in a counselling session. So it obviously wasn't helping me. It was obviously making me more anxious. The only thing I found was I was able to release a lot of emotion, if you like. So I probably spent most of the time crying throughout 1 hour counselling session. But then I was absolutely exhausted. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the first things that I tried. Going on from that, when that didn't work, I looked into steps to change, actually, because I went to the GP and he said, oh, there's steps to change. Have you heard of this service? So I said, no, what's that? And they said, oh, you can do group therapy or you could do one-to-one therapy. Would it be something you'd like to do? And I thought, not sure about that. I'm not really sure about the group therapy. And I actually did both. I did a group therapy, which was in a room with about 6 to 8 people, basically talking about what causes depression, what the symptoms are, what you can do to basically try and stop the symptoms from coming on. It didn't help at all. In fact, it was awful. Who wants to sit in a room with loads of other people talking about what depression is and what anxiety is? Well, if you want to depress before you went, you were definitely depressed after.
How many
terrible.
hours do you think that you spent doing that then?
Sorry?
How many hours or time or money do you think was spent doing that?
I think it was, I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 sessions, the group one. It might have been 6. And then I did a one-on-one one as well, which was even worse. I got taken into a room, if you imagine like a waiting area at a GP's or a dentist or whatever, and there'd be a sheet on the table and they'd say, right, we need you to fill this in before you go through to see the therapist, whatever the lady was called. I thought, right, okay, that's a bit odd, picked up this sheet and it was basically, well, how are you feeling right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being, not too bad, 5 being halfway to 10 being the complete worst that you can be. And I thought, what a load of crap. I didn't want to fill it in because I thought, how the hell do they think I'm feeling? This is why I'm here. So obviously it was all 10. There was a number of other questions as well. And the same thing went on each week. Every time we went, I had to fill out this stupid form. I can't stress to anybody enough, don't go there. Don't your life is not a tick sheet. You don't need to put how anxious you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. That is not getting to the cause of why you feel like you do, or helping you to release that trauma, because that's what it is. It's the trauma that's inside you that you need to release.
Yes, experience. That's right.
So don't do it. And then I had cognitive behavioural therapy as well, which was done online at the time because I think it was during COVID or something to do with that. Basically, just chatting to this complete stranger online, just sending messages, learning about how the mind works and different bits like that. Yeah, complete waste of time. So I can't stress to anybody enough. Don't listen to what other people tell you because it doesn't work.
Yeah. So you spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of money doing that then, really?
Yes, I think I spent a good part of my life really going from one thing to another. Well, counselling hasn't worked, so let's try steps to change. Or that hasn't worked. Cognitive behavioural therapy, that's got a really 100% pass rate, or whatever you like to call it, which is what I was told. That's the best thing out there, apparently, CBT. Okay? Hell, it's not.
So does that then, because that wasn't working, does that then make you feel like you failed or something like that? Does that make it feel worse because it didn't work? Do you feel?
Yes, it did. You kind of start to think, I already felt, not normal, that this was something I was born with, basically. I was meant to have anxiety, I was meant to have depression. You're just going to have to get on with it because clearly there's something wrong with you because the counselling hasn't worked, the steps to changes hasn't worked, the cognitive behavioural therapy hasn't worked. What else is there? So therefore, you're going to have to live with it because none of those have worked. So you're just going to have to deal with it, basically. So yeah, it made me feel awful, and I was just like, I don't know how much more I can take. I'm not living. I'm just existing, basically.
Yeah.
Life's not fun. It's just therapy.
Yeah, talking about living it. So
Yeah.
why did you decide to work with me then, Megan? What was your experience with working with me?
Originally my mum actually saw an article in the newspaper of yourself, and how you had helped your daughter overcome autoimmune disease, which was absolutely amazing, and just couldn't believe it. And I said to mum, I was like, for real? I was like, how did she do that? I was like, what'd she do? Wave a magic wand and all of a sudden she's not got it? I was like, no, that can't be right, Anyway, I was like, I went on to read it, and I thought, I don't know. And I thought, I'm going to go on this lady's website. I think there's something special about this lady. So I went on the website, and there was other reviews on there, other testimonials that people saying that they had worked with you, how amazing it was, how they felt at ease. You weren't judgmental, and they got the results that they were like totally different people. And I said to mum, I was like, there must be something in this, because I said, why would people put all this, and if it wasn't working? And I was like, yeah, I think this is a lady to do it. I think we finally got the answer. So yeah, it was quite a light bulb moment, really. It's like, oh, ping! I found my angel, and she's there to help. Yeah, it just felt right. I actually remember we had a conversation on the phone to begin with as well. Sure you remember.
Yeah.
And straight away, as soon as this is where even seeing you, straight away, as soon as I spoke to you on the phone, I felt very relaxed. I felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I was being judged. I didn't feel, so maybe I am normal, all my life I hadn't felt like I fitted in, it wasn't normal, and why was I experiencing these things, and I just felt so relaxed. It was like, well, it was just like talking to a friend, I think with you, Rachel, it's yes, you're a rapid transformational therapist, but you're also a very special person. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it. Yes, the RTT is great in itself, but it wouldn't be great if it wasn't for you, because you understand how people feel. You empathise with people, and I always say to people, you've either got that or you haven't.
I've evolved it now. It's quantum soul potential technique. There's so much more than what I was doing right in the very beginning. So, but yeah, you're right. It is anybody can do the method of hypnotherapy, relaxing the client, doing all that. But it is listening. It's the language that's being used. I'm looking at the similarities, the differences. I understand how the subconscious mind works and how it's all about emotion and not logical. So it's looking at all those pieces and piecing them all together, and knowing that it's just the stuff you've gone through that made you feel that way. It's not your natural state of being. You weren't born feeling anxious or depressed. It's something you've acquired. So it's just peeling back the layers and allowing you to really stand in your true power that really is you. So that was lovely. Thank you for sharing how non-judgy it felt, and how it was just about listening to you, going to the root cause. Isn't scary either, is it? Do you want to talk about that, into the root? Because people are like, but I don't want to know, because for whatever reason, or I might know what it is, but I don't want to face that again. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I must admit, I can relate with that. Kind of, when I first looked into it, I thought, oh God, I don't know if I could do that. I was like, I'm going to be hypnotised, and I'm going to be doing all these strange spins, like you see on TV.
What is it really?
Yeah, and it's nothing like that at all. It's very relaxed. Very. It's kind of like being in a dream. been in like a bit of a daydream, in a relaxed state. You're just laying there with your eyes closed, really, having a nice dream. I mean, what could be better? What could be better than that? You know, it's not about reliving what happened and making you feel bad. It's just seeing it on the TV screen, and it just flows. Once you've started, it kind of all just. I mean, I was quite shocked actually how much actually came out my mouth at the time. But yeah, and again, Rachel, you know, it's your voice. It's how you've got that calming voice as well, and you know, like you're there to like help you through it. So you know, if you do get a bit uncomfortable, then you know that's okay. You remind people that you know they are safe. It's you know you are safe. It's not you're not reliving it. You're just reviewing it, and you're there to hold your hand if needed as well, which is what you did with me.
That's right. It's not about reliving it at all. It is about just reviewing it, and we're not looking at many scenes or events. It's just usually 3 or 4, so that we just link it together and then release it, because it's like having a table with 4 legs. Once you knock 3 legs down, the table doesn't stand up, and it's the same principle. So by just reviewing it, and then it's about when we've understood it, it's then about empowering you from it and releasing those emotions, so that when you have another event in your life, it's not a string of lights lighting up like a Christmas tree lights or fairy lights, bing, 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 all the way down. And that's what triggers the anxiety and the depression. So it's all about releasing it all and allowing you to be you, really. So how many sessions did we have together? Can you remember?
Yes, I do believe we have 4. But I can absolutely say that even after one session, I was up in the air. I think, you know, the next few sessions were just like a few little things to tweak as such. But straight away after that first session, I already noticed the changes. It was like walking on air, actually. I think that's how I described it. You know, I've never felt like that in my life. I went back to work like a different person. My confidence had gone from down there to like up there. people couldn't believe it. And I think there was even an incident at nursery that day where normally I'd go into such a state of panic. Oh my God, you know, I'm going to get called in the office. Parents are going to complain. I don't know what I'm going to say. And I was actually calming my friend down, because my friend was like panicking more than me. And I was like, oh, well, it's okay. We'll just explain what happened, and you know, job done. Like, you know, we were doing our job. It was just one of those spins, and it'll all be fine. And I was just like, oh my God, did I just say that?
Yeah. It is those moments.
It was very surreal. It was very surreal.
I love those moments when you catch yourself and you're like, well, I would have reacted like this, but isn't this is how, whoa. You know, it's like coming to like a crossroads, and you can see yourself choosing a different path. But it's not like you've got a list, like Rachel said, I need to do step A, step B, step C. It's like your subconscious mind just knows, because it's been upgraded really into that new empowering thought process, because you're not that child or that younger person that was wounded or felt bad. You're now this adult self, and where you feel much more empowered and free to choose what you want and what you don't want. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. It was kind of like, it was like somebody had opened up my head, took my brain out and put somebody else's brain in. And I was like, how did this lady do this? Like, she's giving me a new brain. No, she can't have done that. She's not a brain surgeon. But
it kind of is. It kind of is. It's just looking at why those things affected you, isn't it? And then releasing those old stories and their emotion, because the subconscious is emotional. So by releasing those emotions, if you can imagine like a book full of these little tabs that we stick little stickers in, I must read this again and this again, and you've got all these different colors going through the spine or something of the book. And when you've taken those out, it means those you're flatline, those things aren't triggering you anymore. It's like a flat line. It's just like I'm neutral to it or empowered from it. So you're not being triggered again. So when something happens, you're able to think as that adult calmly, rationally, carefully, taking conscious action, and rather than a subconscious knee-jerking response. That's the difference, isn't it?
Absolutely. Can I just say as well, Rachel, going back to, you know, our sessions together, you also obviously did a recording of yourself. I think it was like a transformational recording.
Yeah.
And, you know, I say to anybody, you know, what you can't have anything better. You know, you've got a box of pills and you've got a recording from you that's saying how amazing you are, how valued you are, how loved you are, you know, as a person, and listening to that, you know, please, everybody, you know, don't be scared, because you can't. I mean, what could be better? You know, you lay in you have a nice daydream. You get to release all those negative feelings, and you also get to listen to a lovely recording that makes you feel amazing. Which you are amazing, by the way, everybody out there that thinks they're not.
Yes.
And that recording doesn't self-destruct either. It's always there. That's another thing that you get, which I think's like massive bonus. You know, it may be, you know, that you don't need that recording again, but, you know, sometimes we need to be reminded of how good we are. We need to be reminded to be kind to ourselves. And if putting that recording on gives you a bit of a reminder and a bit of a kick up the bum, then put it on.
That's great. So what's life like now then, Megan? How long ago did we work together?
We worked together in 2021, I believe.
I think it was.
And we're now in 2023. So yeah, a fair while ago. Well, life is, it's turned 360 degrees, I would say. I actually looked into adoption before actually working with you, because I was desperate to have a baby. You know, it's what I always wanted. I wanted to be a mum. Yes, I work with children every day, but I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be the parent coming in and the child running. So I looked into adoption. I wasn't in a good place at all. In fact, I was on the floor, basically. Had no confidence, you know, no self. I'm never going to be a mummy. It's never going to happen. You know, all those feelings. Actually, I had an interview with a social worker. It was absolutely awful. She absolutely ripped me to shreds. She might as well have torn my heart out and stood on it, really. I was told that I wasn't in a good place for my mental health. You know, I clearly needed therapy of some kind. She really didn't think it was the right time. You know, go away for 6 months and then come back and see us, which was absolutely awful. You know, I was just like, that was the final thing that I had to hold on to. I'd kind of lost everything else and I kind of needed that, but I didn't get it. Yeah, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
But
we worked together, didn't we?
Yeah. So the only thing I could do, you know, I could either sit there and completely fall apart, which I kind of did for a bit, or, you know, get myself out there and show the social worker what I'm made of, which is what I did. But I couldn't have done that without you. I do believe now. I mean, my son. I've got my son now. He's been here since February. I do believe that he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Well, I know that he wouldn't be at all. Because yes, I did go back to the social worker 6 months later, after I'd worked with you. Straight away after I'd worked with you, my confidence was through the roof. I even lost weight. We didn't even work on weight at the time, but I even lost weight. I felt good about myself. And I thought, yeah, I can do this, you know, I can show them what I'm made of. And I went back, and yeah, here I am with my son. I sat in the front of a panel of 8 people on a screen, which can be daunting in itself, but I felt empowered. I felt brilliant, like I could face anybody. And it was a unanimous decision, and I've now got my little boy, and he's my absolute world. He really is. It's the greatest achievement ever.
Yeah, it's just the best thing, isn't it? And that's the thing, when you release all the stuff, you can stand in that true power of you. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's about releasing all that old stuff so that more gorgeous stuff comes in. It's beautiful, and it's just so wonderful. It's not just help you, but it's also help your son have a better quality of life. It's just a ripple effect, and I absolutely love it. And of course, you're going to parent differently as well to how you would have done, because you would have been like a different person, aren't you? You're more empowered, you're able to go out more, you feel more able to meet people, maybe meet other mothers as well, and just be more sociable, apart from anything else. It's all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. So some people listening may be a bit nervous about investing in themselves, or may never even thought about investing in themselves before. They might be sitting on the fence. What would you say to that person?
Yes, I was in that situation. Obviously, I was very sceptical. I thought, there's no way that this lady could talk to you with your eyes shut, and all of a sudden everything's gone. But you clearly can, Rachel. So, because she's got the gift, I would say, don't be scared. It is okay, and you're in the arms of an angel. You couldn't be in better hands. Like I say, it's not about reliving the trauma. You don't have to sit there and talk about how you're feeling or how the past event made you feel. And also, don't sit there and think, oh, I'm not normal, I've got to live with this, it's never going to go away, I've tried counselling, I've tried this, I've tried that. Please, don't do that, because life can, and it does get better. My love of poetry has actually come back, which I used to have, and I actually wrote a poem about how I was a caterpillar, like this little tiny creature on the floor that everybody could just tread on, and not really worth anything, probably couldn't even see it, so you tread on it, and how I actually transformed and became a butterfly. Finally noticed by people, beautiful colours, and so hold on to that. You're not a caterpillar, you don't need to be trodden on, you're worth more than that. Get out there and turn into this butterfly, because that's inside you, that's inside everybody. I know it's hard to believe it when you're like in that bad place, but even pick up the phone, talk to Rachel on the phone, and you'll soon see how relaxed and how non-judgmental she is, and hopefully that'll give you the strength to get in touch.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Because the thing is, these symptoms that we have, whether it's disease or long-term health issue, or anxiety, depression, whatever it is your mind. It's all there because of the stuff you've gone through. It's not who you really are. It's suppressed emotion. That's what it is. And when you release that, you come back to your true center, which is you're made of love, because you're made of the stuff that universes are made of. So it's a given that you are lovable, because you're made of that love essence. That is your soul self of who you are. The other stuff is just the human experience of it all. So releasing that, you come back to you. And from there, you're able to live that limitless life, because you are limitless. And it's about really understanding. It's a beautiful journey of self-discovery as well, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, that's how that influenced. I never even remembered that scene. Sometimes that happens. Or I'd never thought of that since I was whatever. Isn't that curious? So it's a journey of self-discovery. You see how it all linked together, and you get to know yourself in a much better way. It's like meeting your best friend for the first time. Do you think?
Yes, actually, that's just struck a chord with me, actually, Rachel, because because like I say, before I came to work with you, I felt like anxiety and depression was something that I was born with, that I had to live with. Counselling hadn't worked and other things hadn't worked, so perhaps that's how life's meant to be. That is my life, kind of thing. I didn't feel normal. I couldn't go into relationships. I I generally thought that there was something wrong with me. I didn't know I was suffering from any kind of trauma. I just thought, anxiety is something that you're meant to have, so get on with it, basically. But yeah, like you say, it is a journey, because you kind of come out of it and you think, oh my God, so that's why I felt like that then. That's why I've got anxiety, because that event that happened, I don't know, you could have been 5 years old, just for example. That event that happened made me feel really bad, and I couldn't deal with that because I was a child. So the body's way of dealing with it is to cause the anxiety. So it was a real eye opener, definitely.
Yes, lots of light bulb moments. That's what I like as well. So it's yes, you're right, absolutely. It can be when you're 5 years old or whatever, and you've forgotten about it consciously, and it just comes to mind, and then you can see that how that 5-year-old would, any little 5-year-old had felt exactly the same way that you did. And you can also see that as an adult, you can see the real truth, and that's the beautiful thing. You're looking at it from an adult perspective and seeing that little child didn't need to feel that way. You can see why they did, because there was no reference point to feel any different. Because if somebody says you're stupid or you're not, or you feel not lovable, the only thing we can make it mean is, well, that must be me. You can't say, well, your parents didn't give me the love that I needed because they didn't feel it when they were growing up, or whatever it was. We just make it mean something bad about ourselves, and if our needs aren't met, it has to be our fault. So it's about looking at that as an adult perspective, and so that you can really see what the real truth is and empower yourself back from it. And it's wonderful. Like you said, you've only had 4 sessions. It's not come back next week and talk about it forever and a day. It's just about releasing it and reviewing it, and start really living the life that you're meant to, with passion and purpose. Yeah, like you are.
Thank you. Another thing I'd like to say, actually, is talking about going back to maybe your childhood and things like that. Don't I don't want anyone to feel bad thinking, oh, that wasn't traumatic. People have been stabbed, or people have had car accidents, or which was kind of what I thought after like the first session. Was kind of like, oh no, that can't be a trauma. But actually there isn't any big T or little t, basically. Trauma is anything that made you feel bad at the time. And if being a 5-year-old at school made, the teacher saying you're stupid made you feel bad, then it made you feel bad. And, that's still trauma. So don't feel guilty for whatever comes out, because you don't need to.
No, that's right. And I have seen pretty much everything, from the real hard, major things, to what other people might see as not so bad. But everything, there's no big or little T, like you said. It's all experiences that you've gone through. It's just about peeling back those layers and understanding why, where, and how it began, so then you can really release it all. It doesn't matter what it was, whatever it is possible to overcome as well. It doesn't matter what it is, we can release it all, for sure. Is there anything else you want to add? And thank you very much, Megan. It's been an absolute joy talking to you. Anything else you'd like to add before we?
Been lovely talking to you too, Rachel, as always. I think the only thing I want to add is, life can and it does get better. And I know this is probably hard for people to hear. I know what it's like to feel like that's the end, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's ever going to change. I'm never going to get better. I'm always going to have panic attacks the rest of my life. I know. I've been there. Whether it be, even if it's not like depression, anxiety, if it's a medical condition or anything like that, you don't have to live with it. You don't have to live with asthma all your life, or I don't know, whatever it might be, because there's a trauma behind that as well. It's not what the doctors tell you, it's not what the hospital people tell you, it's what you've experienced that has caused these symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't think that things can't get better, because they can and they will. I'm living proof. I mean, who would have thought I'll be here now with my son?
Yes.
If that's not proof enough for anybody, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love your story. It's just incredible, and you so deserve it. And you make a lovely mum, and it's just wonderful to watch you as well flourish and evolve into who you're meant to be. It's like watching that butterfly unfurl with all your gorgeous wings and beautiful colours. It's really lovely. So thank you for joining me today, Megan. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
You too, Rachel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.